Okay, let's dive into a story that, well, it's pretty much been erased from the history books. And it's one of the most incredible acts of rebellion you've probably never heard of. It's got everything: a mother's fierce love, ancient, secret knowledge, and an act of vengeance that is just terrifyingly brilliant. All right, so picture this. It's August 17th, 1856. We're at a place called Magnolia Grove Plantation in Mississippi. Inside, there's a big dinner party going on. They're celebrating, how much money they're making. But then it all comes to this sudden, gruesome end. When the dust settles, 8 people are dead. We're talking the plantation owner, his wife, their guests, the whole power structure. Gone. Now here's where it gets really strange. This wasn't your typical revolt. When people showed up to investigate, they found nothing. No guns, no knives, no evidence of a fight. So what could possibly do this? The weapon used to take down the entire plantation leadership was something from nature. Something absolutely terrifying. It was bees. So, bees. How is that even possible, right? To get to the bottom of it, we've got to rewind. Let's go back 6 months before that deadly night. Because this whole story, it doesn't start with a plan for revenge. It starts with a mother, a woman named Patience, reaching her absolute breaking point. $700. That's it. That was the price tag put on a human life. Patience's son, Samuel, who was only 12 years old, accidentally broke a fancy vase. And for that, his enslaver, a man named Cornelius Whitfield, sold him for $700. He sold him down the river to a Louisiana sugar plantation, which, let's be honest, was basically a death sentence. And as they're chaining Samuel up to take him away, Patience gets just 2 minutes. 2 minutes to say goodbye to her son forever. Think about that contrast for a second. To Whitfield, the boy was just $700 worth of property. But to his mom, he was everything. He was royalty. And those last words she spoke to him, they were about reminding him of that, of who he truly was, no matter what they said. And this really gets to the heart of the whole story. See, Patience was not the person her enslavers thought she was. Not even close. To them, she was just the woman who took care of the beehives. Quiet, unassuming. What they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was that they were living alongside someone with a secret identity and a seriously powerful ancestral knowledge. It's like there were 2 different people. On one side, you had Patience. That was the name they gave her. She'd survived 31 years of enslavement by just being invisible. Quiet, useful, out of the way. But that wasn't her real name. Her real name was Ebony, and she was born in Africa, in what we now call Nigeria. She was the daughter of a Yoruba queen before she was captured at just 7 years old. So she carried these memories of a completely different life, a different world, and a different name. And she carried something else too, a secret knowledge passed down from her mother. See, her mom had been the keeper of the sacred bees back in their village. So from her, Patience, Ebony, learned these ancient arts. We're not just talking about getting honey. We're talking about calming bees with songs, communicating with them through dance and movement. And this is the crucial part, how her ancestors had literally weaponized swarms to defend their homes. Now, this knowledge didn't just lay dormant. At Magnolia Grove, an older woman named Aunt Chloe kind of took her under her wing and taught her more about African spiritual practices, like hoodoo. And right before she passed away, Aunt Chloe said something that was just chillingly prophetic. She sensed that Patience's connection with the bees wasn't just a skill, it was a destiny, just waiting for the right moment to be unleashed. Well, after they sold her son Samuel, that moment arrived. Whatever part of Patience that was still holding on, still hoping, it just died that day. And what was left was something else entirely. Something cold, calculating, and laser-focused. Her grief didn't crush her. No, it transformed her. It became the fuel for a 6-month, incredibly detailed plan for revenge. So for the next 6 months, from February all the way to August, she got to work. She went to Aunt Chloe's grave and made a vow. And in that moment, she went from being a survivor to being a hunter. For months, she just watched. She studied her targets, learned their habits, their schedules, their weaknesses, all of it. Just planning for that one perfect moment to strike. And I mean, this was no crime of passion. This was strategic, almost like a military operation. She started by slowly, methodically moving her 5 beehives closer and closer to the main house.
Then, over weeks, she began to subtly irritate the colonies, making them more and more aggressive. She mapped out the whole house in her head, every door, every window, and the key to her whole plan, the 3 chimneys that went straight inside.
And that brings us right back to where we started, August 17th, the night of the dinner party. Inside, it's all laughter and celebration. But outside, in the dark, a plan that has been brewing for 6 long months is finally ready, and it is about to reach its absolutely terrifying conclusion. Inside that dining room, Cornelius Whitfield, the master of the house, stands up and raises his glass for a toast. And what are they toasting to? King Cotton, the very system that made them rich, built on the suffering of people like patients. You just can't make up the irony. It's this moment of pure arrogance, and they have absolutely no idea that justice is creeping towards them from the garden. And while they're toasting, Patience is moving. In the pitch black, she's carrying 5 heavy cloth sacks over to this huge magnolia tree next to the house. And then she starts to climb. So quiet, branch by branch, up to the roof. And her weapons? They're buzzing, furious, inside those sacks on her back. This is it. There's no turning back now. Once she's on the roof, she makes her way to the chimneys. And then, one by one, she opens the sacks. She unleashes a living, breathing, furious storm right down into the house, straight into the dining room where they're eating, into the library, and into the master bedroom. It's hard to even wrap your head around the scale of this. We're talking an estimated 25,000 enraged African honeybees. This is a type of bee that is known for being incredibly aggressive when defending its hive. And she just released all of them into a closed-off house full of people who had no idea what was coming. The result? It was immediate, it was total chaos, it was catastrophic. What was left was just a scene of absolute horror. And look who the victims were. Cornelius Whitfield and his wife, Constance, the overseer who was known for his brutality. 2 enslaved men who worked as drivers, Jupiter and Caesar, who helped enforce the system. And 3 other planters who were visiting. She didn't just get revenge on her master, she took out the entire power structure of the plantation, top to bottom. But, the story doesn't stop there in that dining room. What happened after the attack is what turned this act of personal revenge into something much, much bigger. It became a symbol, a legend of resistance that would be heard about far, far away from Magnolia Grove. So after she unleashed the bees, she jammed the door shut, trapping everyone inside, and then she ran. She made it across the Mississippi River, and for 23 days, she was a free woman. The county launched the biggest manhunt they'd ever seen, and she evaded them for 23 days. Think about that. After 31 years of being enslaved, she got 23 days of real, actual freedom. Eventually, they did catch her. And her trial, as you can imagine, was a complete joke. But at her execution, they let her speak. And her final words, they weren't of regret. Not at all. It was this powerful, defiant speech. She basically reframed her own death not as them winning, but as her own final victory. A victory of her spirit that they could never, ever take away. And after that, her story just exploded. Abolitionist newspapers got a hold of it and published it. On one hand, it sent a wave of terror through Southern slave owners. They actually passed even tougher laws because they were so scared. But on the other hand, among the enslaved people, the story of the woman who called the bees, it spread like wildfire. It became a legend, whispered from person to person, inspiring more acts of resistance and becoming this incredible rallying cry. Patience's story, it's a brutal part of American history, but it's such a necessary one. And yet, you're just not going to find it in most history books. It really makes you face the fact that resistance to slavery wasn't just this passive thing. It was active, it was brilliant, and yet, sometimes it was deadly effective. The fact that we even know her story at all is kind of a miracle. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories just like this, stories of incredible courage, have been completely lost?